Hi there everyone, this is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage channel and you are looking at the underside of a table, but it is not just any table. It is a very special table, a very clever idea from the Singer Company back in the day. What you are seeing is what it looks like a card table, and I purchased this from someone who said, oh, it's a good card table, you know, you could use it for different things. But of course I saw the opening on top of the table, and I knew that in fact this was originally not designed to be strictly a card table, although you couldn't be blamed for thinking it was, because it sure looks like one. But what I'm showing you today is in fact a sewing table. Now, the Singer Company had, just like the other sewing manufacturers, they had tons and tons of different sewing table styles and price points. You know, the bigger, the fancier they were, the more money they cost. And of course, if you chose some of the more exotic woods like mahogany or walnut, you paid extra for that too. They had all kinds of choices. And one of the things that's important, and I think one of the reasons this table was a great idea when it was introduced, was because of being efficient with the space in your home. It's important to remember, you can go back to say the year 1950, and in North America, the average home was between 800 and 1,000 square feet. That was for the whole house. Today, the average house in North America is somewhere around, 1,800 to 2,000 square feet, and that's an average. Obviously, their house is much bigger. So, you know, getting people to do something other than taking a sewing machine, maybe, you know, it was in a carry case, and putting it on your dining room table and sewing. A lot of people did this, and it was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But of course, families ate virtually all of their meals at the dining table. And so if you had a sewing project, you know, you wanted to leave it up, it was really, oh, now I got to take my sewing stuff down because it's time to eat. So you can see the attraction of this table. And of course, Singer, like other companies, they didn't just market this as a sewing table that you could sort of put away in a very efficient place. You could, you know, put it in a closet or up against a wall. It wasn't in the way. But they also advertised it as being flexible. You could use it as a card table. Maybe you don't have one. And remember, card games were very popular in the 20th century. They still are today, but they were very popular. And as a social thing, you know, people would have dinner and it's like, hey, let's all play cards or do something together as an activity. And so whether you were doing a puzzle or a card game, whatever it was, you had this. And you can see this in the advertisements where Singer would, you know, the advertisement is, you know, it's like an illustration, graphic illustration. And you see people, a person sewing, and then in the other image on the page, you see people playing cards. So again, these tables were not super cheap, and so to get someone to pay for one, you had to convince them that not only did it make sewing a lot easier, because you could, you know, set the card table up maybe in a different room, and of course you could remove the machine and you would fill in the top of the table. I'm going to turn it around for you all in just a second, and you would be able to use it as a smooth surface. So again, very clever. These were made for the Singer Featherweights. They were also made for the Singer 301s, which has the same bed dimensions as Singer 400 and 500 series. Now, I don't know for sure if Singer made these to hold the 4 and 500 series, and you want to be careful. These tables are strong, but those 4 and 500 series Singers were a lot heavier than the 300 and certainly than the 301 and the featherweight. So you want to be mindful of that. But all of this structure that you see under the table is framing to beef up and fortify, if you will, the table to make it structurally sound to hold a machine. And of course, like everything else back then, it was made really well. It still functions. Now, when I saw the table, I could tell somebody had done something to it, and you'll see this when we turn it over. Now, I mentioned that they had partially altered it because everything around the edge and underneath the table looks like what I expect. All of these tables had a black coating. I don't know if it was paint. It might have been a stain or a stain varnish. I'm not sure. But the underside was black, as was the edging. But on the top, you would have seen a stained color. And I'm willing to bet that Singer had them available in different colors. You could get maple or walnut or cherry or what have you. But it would have been stained and varnished wood. Now, when I saw this table advertised, I saw it and I'm like, ah, someone decided that they did not want to take the time to refinish it, and I suspect, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to zoom in here and let you guys see. Look here, guys. If I zoom way in this light, take a look. At the very top left side, I can tell that, or at least I think that's what I'm seeing, that part of the veneer of the wood may have flaked off. Remember, you know, the edges of these tables would have been, and this is true of all furniture, when you have a veneer, the edges are vulnerable to damage, somebody bumping it into something. And I suspect that underneath that paint is some chipped veneer, but I don't care. My plan, oh, wait a minute, let's back up here a minute. Now, let me back up just a second and show you guys. Look at the lines, guys. You see the outline? That outline is interesting because if you ever see what looks like a card table or just a fold-up table, if you see a cutout, that's kind of a quick clue that you're not looking at just a card table or a folding table. You are looking at one of Singer's mobile sewing tables. This table, of course, would have had not just the fact that it was very space efficient. One of the great things about it is that it's much larger. The surface is, you would have a much larger surface, which is a lot easier than having to use your dining table when you're sewing things like, you know, window coverings, drapery, and so forth, or anything really large. Because people sewed all kinds of things in their home, and using a small sewing table is not always a great. It doesn't always work great when you're dealing with big things with heavy fabrics. So again, you can see, if you look at the cutout, you'll see that. Now, someone painted this, and it looks like they even painted it shut. So I've got my work cut out for me. My plan, what is my plan? My plan is to not use the table as is. And I believe that I am going to do, for the first time, I think that's right, I'm going to strip the table. I'm going to strip the top of the table and this top filler piece and attempt to restore them back to the wood look. This paint, by the way, somebody just must have gone in their garage and found what they could because it's a flat wall paint. My hope is that this is a latex water-based flat wall paint, because if it is, it's going to be easier for me to get it off. Maybe I shouldn't use the word easy. I don't think any of it's going to be easy, but it's going to be easier to strip off than it would be with an oil-based paint, which you can also strip, but we'll see. Now, I've talked to you guys in many videos about things like fumes and solvents and being really careful. So, I mean, we're in winter time right now, so I'm not going to be doing this inside the house. I have quite a lot going on, but you guys have seen in I think I've done a video recently of that 301, that black 301 that I found on an auction. And so I'll be testing to see if it will fit here. I think it will. I think that's what I'm looking at here. So anyway, more to come on this table that I hope, well, I have rescued it, like it or not, and I'm going to be looking at hopefully bringing it back because it has great value. If you ever see one of these tables, again, this table was sold by someone who said, hey, here's a good card table. And I don't even know if they knew why there was a cutout in it. I have no idea, but they sold it and I bought it. And but these tables are wonderful. They are examples of the great innovation that companies like Singer and the others had. Singer sometimes gets criticized for not being innovative. I actually don't think that's a fair critique. I think they were very innovative, but they were not always the first to market. They would often wait sometimes quite a long time to introduce something after their competitors did. But again, this table to me represents a really good piece. I will probably, once I'm done with the project, I will probably sell the table separately. I can put the table with the Black 301, but again, you have to find someone who wants both. Not everyone wants both. So I can offer it both ways. But I have found over time that if you give people the choice, do they just want the machine or just want the table? Maybe they already have a machine. That's usually better for people to let them decide, right? Because they can, if they want the machine, I can say I also have a table. Would you like both? It's up to you. But there you go, guys. If you come across one of these tables, I have to check to see if they came in different sizes. I do know that the version that was made for the featherweight had a smaller cutout because the featherweight's not as long as the 301 was. But anyway, just kind of a fun piece that I found. I don't know if I should put this in the purchasing series or the table cabinet series or both. But anyway, I appreciate all of you watching. Had some wonderful daylight here today and wanted to, I always love to do my videos in daylight if I can. And I appreciate all of you watching. Stay tuned as I will be rolling out more videos to come. And we will see you in the next one. Bye now.